So as you can see, Mr. Chandrasekaran, it's a packed house, waiting to listen to what you have to say about transformation and leadership, and of course in the Indian economy and what you are doing at Tata. But before that, I wanted to just narrate a small anecdote. When we went to meet Mr. Chandrasekaran, he insisted that you have to call him Chandra and not Mr. Chandrasekaran. And he just stumped me when he said, if you call me anything else, I will call you editor. so, so that completely, gave the entire conversation a different spin. And that's Chandra for you. And I will refer to him as Chandra during the course of the conversation. Otherwise, he will not answer my questions. So, Chandra, to start off, we will let's take a slightly higher perspective, a bird's eye view of the economy first, and understand from you, as the head of this multi-diversified, storied conglomerate, what is your sense of where the Indian economy is heading? We are calling it the India moment, but there are serious headwinds across sectors, across the global economy. Where do you, as the Tata Group chairman, see the Indian economy heading?
See, if you look at the global macros, and there are enough headwinds, and every economist has a negative view, whether it is the US market from inflation perspective, or UK, which is facing one of the highest levels of inflation. Europe has its own problems due to energy because of the Russia-Ukraine war. And the US-China standoff has its own implications for all economies. So there is a lot of negative view or too much caution. I am not an economist. I cannot really either talk for it or talk against it. But if you really look at our portfolio, where we operate across sectors from steel, auto, power, to all the way to consumer, there is a very, very strong demand. We have just consolidated the numbers for the financial year. We still have not declared the results for all the listed companies. So we have the analyst estimates for some of them, and listed companies, some of them have declared results. I'll say that the group on our base will grow more than 20% year on year. And we take out international revenues, take a TCS or a Jaguar Land Rover and these kind of companies out. Purely see the domestic market, the growth is even higher. And we don't see a slowdown in consumer businesses. In fact, we see demand in tier 3, tier 4 towns for both discretionary and non-discretionary items higher than tier 1 cities. So we're not able to reconcile the commentary to what's happening on the ground. So from our point of view, we are going to be focused on growth, but we'll have to keep an eye on the developments that are happening. So I am actually an India bull.
Are there particular sectors, Chandra, where you are seeing some kinds of stress building up, and therefore, because you have a diversified portfolio, so it's slightly easier for you, maybe not really easy, but it's possible for you to sort of focus on some and look at the other stress
No, I
sectors.
think it's very secular, well distributed. I think Narendran is here. The only sector where we have had a issue on the price is steel from last year to this year, because of last year it was one of the outlier year. But otherwise, I think the growth has been pretty secular across the board. B2B companies, infrastructure companies, or consumer companies. So I think it's been we are watching it, we have to be very careful because of all the things that are going on in geopolitics. But India is quite strong.
Do you think there is talking of the global economy, do you think there is a tendency now with the entire geopolitical and the global economic situation of companies looking more inward? Does that sort of create a new set of challenges for a global organization like yours?
It's not a challenge, it's an opportunity. We are doubling, tripling down in India. So our focus is predominantly India, but some of the businesses we are building are for the global market out of India. The same IT services model, we're trying to use the same paradigm, but some of the new sectors we are getting in, which will be totally India-based, but it will be for the global market.
Could you tell us a little more about the new sectors? I think one of them we've just seen some action in, and you're pretty bullish on in the semiconductor state.
So we are doing 5 new sectors. I think 2 of them, all of you know. One is Air India, which is a big bet, and we have thought about it, and we are going on scale. So we believe that we have to make the right investments, and so we are scaling up fairly quickly. Second is, we believe the Indian consumer market has to be pure omni-channel. It's not a pure online market or an offline market. So we are putting together the omni-channel with our app. So that's the second. Then we have gotten into precision manufacturing, but we'll do an entire vertical integration in the coming years. Start with manufacturing, then we'll get into assembly and packaging. Then the next stage will be semiconductor testing, then fabless. We will do the design, and then we'll get into the fab. So that's the stage, that's the level, that's the stages of integration we'll go through, but probably not over a very long period, probably in a shorter cycle.
So the fab plan is very much now on, and obviously.
But it will take time because we'll go through the sequence. Sequence, because it's a very big investment. So we've got to make sure that we are doing the right thing, and we are investing in the right node. And before that, we have our own architecture. We'll have our own electronic architecture, say for example automobile, and for other sectors we are operating in. Then we have also created a networking company, which is a 5G, 6G and beyond stack. So that actually is ready for commercialization. We'll launch it. And then we are putting a battery. So a battery plant, we're putting 2 battery plants of 25 gigawatts each, one in India, one in Europe. So these are the 5 big sectors we are betting on. But these are all for, except the app, everything else will be for global markets.
That's right. You, in fact, had told us when we met you earlier for the magazine that you are transforming existing businesses and then setting up new ones as well. So it's a mix of the current, re-energizing the current crop and getting, into new businesses. What kind of portfolio balance are you looking at between new businesses and what you're doing with the older ones?
So we are doing the right thing. We're not trying to balance anything artificially. So from our point of view, all our businesses have to do massive transformation on 4 dimensions. One is AI. I'm pretty sure Nandan covered a lot of AI. So there is going to be a huge impact of AI. So every company has to do the transition, whether it's B2B or B2C. Second is energy transition. Third is supply chain transition. Fourth is talent transition. So this is happening in all companies, whether it is steel, whether it is automobile. In fact, automobile is very visible. We have pivoted to electric vehicles. Commercial vehicles also, we've gone through electric. We've gone to electric buses, hydrogen buses. We already produced the first set of hydrogen buses, but still the economics has to work out in some of these technologies. Similarly, in power, we are going through a massive transformation. We have pivoted towards renewable. I think by 25, our renewable capacity will be higher than our coal capacity. And by 27, 28, probably our renewable capacity will double the coal capacity. So 65, 70% will be renewable. So we are doing that. We are investing in carbon capture, in chemicals, for example. And then talent is we are predominantly an inbred company. I think Tata Group has a lot of people who serve the group for a very long time. So that's our strength, but at the same time, we need to inject talent and also train our people on new technologies, because AI will be a disruptor. I think we can talk about Chat GPT for all day, but it will be a disruptor and it is real. It's going to change the productivity equation by an order of magnitude. It has implications on jobs. Um, it has got implications on skills that are required for the future. It has got a huge regulatory issue, because already different governments have started reacting differently, which we have got to take the lead um, to come out with some kind of a regulatory framework where there is not too much of a difference between, because it's a global world, as much as the geopolitics is making it out to be difficult, but still we are a connected world. So
Absolutely.
AI has lots of implications. So all of these four are the transformations all our companies are going through, B2B, B2C companies.
Chandra, you're clearly a believer in AI, and you're saying that the group will obviously adapt AI and adopt it across all your businesses. Now, the point here is a group of your size, with the dimensions of the businesses you are in, will need skilling upgradation as well, which you just mentioned. What are the two or three things you're doing to make AI an integral part of the Tata Group across these businesses? Because they're very diverse, which is why I
See,
asked
it
this
is in the
question.
works. Okay, it is in the works. I can't give you a definitive statement, but training is our core competence. We know how to train people, and we have already created pilots. We might set up a AI center of excellence for the group. We are already putting the framework in place. We will put a lot of hero projects across the group on AI and machine learning. We're already doing a pilot in one small company. Can we change all the systems to be chat GPT generated? Okay, so we're doing pilots like that. So the good thing is we have good leaders across the group. We have got people who are open, who are not resistant to change. And then we have got a lot of talent who needs to be reskilled, and also we have people who have the capability. So I think we need to bring it all together. We need to work um, with all the leaders in the group, and we will do that. So we are going to do the same thing for sustainability. So we are already creating certain structures in the group.
And centers of excellence there too?
Yeah, we'll call it center of excellence, or we'll call it something else. But the point is, we will take this up.
Let's take a step back a bit, Chandra, and talk about when you actually took over. I'm sure you've spoken about it many times, including to us, but it's important to understand your journey in Chandra 1.0 and now Chandra 2.0 in
There
your
is no
second term.
1.0, there is
In
2.0.
your second term, and you've spoken very elaborately on your 3S strategy. Can you just tell us what were your initial thoughts? I mean, this group, you are very talent, like you said. You are from the Tata Group. You're career Tata person, but you are from one company, and then you had to take charge amid turbulent times. And why I ask this question is because it's also a leadership conclave. So we want to know from you, what were your initial thoughts when you came on, given the fact that many of these guys were your colleagues and they're highly talented people?
I think let's not forget that this group has a phenomenal history. And the biggest strength of the group is the brand, the longevity. People who have been with the group for long years. And the group has been led by some personalities who are legends, whether it is Jayant Tata, Jadi Tata, Ratan Tata. They're all big legends. So the group has so many things which are the core strengths of the group. The value system, and a lot of processes. But the issue is, when you run such a diverse group for so long, complexity sets in. So on the one hand, we had all the positives. On the other hand, lot of complexity. And sometimes when you take decisions at a particular point in time, it makes sense. In hindsight, that decision may not be the right decision. When you run such a large group and take decisions, these things happen. So because of which we had issues in some companies, leverage issues, balance sheet issues. So my priority was first to, I actually call it the three phases. First is strengthening the core. So I coined this 3S strategy, but basic idea was, how do you get the group fit? Balance sheet fit in all companies. Then how do you simplify the structures? Simplify the businesses a particular company is involved in, and the markets in which they are focused on, number of subsidiaries we have, levels of management we have. So simplification in every dimension. And then we have so many businesses, there is a lot of synergy between businesses. We couldn't have launched an electric vehicle. We launched it in 6 months' time. Because when I first, 6 months' time. I mean, it was just remarkable. Because Tata Motors, when I called them, they said, boss, this is not IT business. It takes 3 years minimum to build a car. But then we called the expertise of 5 companies. And then we had a brainstorming session. They were able to produce a car.
And you set up a multi-diversified team.
Yes. And we put together the consumer business between Tata Tea and food business. And that has made a huge impact on that business. So there's a lot of synergy initiatives. I'm not going to go through all of that. We put our defense businesses together. So there are across the group, when you started looking, there was so much opportunity. Still there are so many more opportunities. So we'll have to drive that. And then we basically worked with the companies to say, either we have to do things which have scale, or we shouldn't do it. Because on our scale, we shouldn't be doing things which we cannot make an impact. So we had to cut down some businesses. So when it's not shutting down a company, but within each company, there were things that they were doing which we had to shut down. Markets we had to close. And we would have closed, 250, 200, 300 entities in the last few years. So, and all of that has produced results. Now we have, every company is on the growth agenda. And they're doing that growth along with the transformation.
And the market seems to have really given a 2 thumbs up to this strategy, it seems, because your market cap since you took over, and
I think it's market cap will follow. We cannot work for market cap, and we just need to work for cash flows.
But it is a barometer of how the investors...
No, but it will come if you start focusing on products, service, revenues, customers, cash flows. Then the market cap comes.
Was it difficult or initially a challenge to get all the your colleagues, the top level management?
No, I have received a lot of support. I mean, as I said, we have very strong set of people across the group, and they have been nothing but raring to go. So received a phenomenal support across the group. That was not a problem.
But Chandra, over the last few years, particularly over the recent past, we've seen the Tata Group almost, focus on more consumer-facing rather than, there is a touch point to all businesses, even legacy businesses. But I'm saying a more new age businesses, if I may call it that, other than what you just mentioned. For instance, the Tata New app. For instance, the acquisition of companies under Tata Digital. Is there a broader strategy of sort of getting more consumer focused, or how is that being viewed?
So we are not exiting enterprise businesses, B2B businesses, but I truly believe in Indian consumption story. It is the biggest story for the next 40, 50 years anywhere in the world. So sitting here, if we miss this opportunity, it will be a mistake. And we have so many brands. We are in everything. We are into jewelry, we are into watches, we are into grocery, we are into electronics, apparel, even power distribution. You take a state of Odisha, we kind of distribute power to every home. So there is a Tata person going into every home every month. So Indian consumption story is very strong. Air India is a big opportunity. So we will invest in Indian consumer story, but it's just that we have to scale and we got to. Many are listed companies, so we got to do it in a particular way. We can't. We're not starting afresh. So how do we integrate all these companies through a digital app, etc. Has to be well thought through. The value proposition has to be well thought through. We are coming up with a group-wide loyalty, and it will be open architecture. It's not that it will be only for Tata Group companies. At some point in time, we'll open it up once we prove the model.
In fact, you mentioned, very frankly about the initial glitches you faced with Tata New, and you said no more launches until, we set this right. Tell us a little bit about that experience and how it's going.
When you launch a product, the most important thing is customer experience. And if you get the customer experience, customer value proposition right, you scale. If you have experience glitches, you need to fix. And we did experience some glitches, whether it is a heavy app, whether it is performance, whether it is whatever. So we took time. So we fixed that. The new version of the app was launched before this IPL. So now we'll start to launch the next set of categories.
So there will be iterations on the app and making it more user-friendly.
It'll keep evolving, and we have many more categories to launch. So we'll have to bring the airline, we'll have to bring other retail formats. We only brought in 3: grocery, electronics, and e-pharmacy. And a small presence of the hotels, but remaining things will come one by one.
And by when do you see the Tata app, Tata New becoming a full-fledged super app? It would be probably one of the first.
There is no point of arrival for the next few years, but it will. We've just launched the credit card. We've just launched lending. We'll be launching insurance. So the entire full financial services play will come. Then all the other formats will come. Then Air India will come. Then the loyalty has to take in effect. Then we'll open the app for other third-party brands who are wanting to join. So I think.
So a true super app in that sense.
It will be a true super app. Yes, absolutely. Then we'll have to bring in conversational commerce. So we're working on that.
Yes, because conversational commerce is the next big thing.
So there are many initiatives going on, but it will happen over a period of time. It's just not an overnight thing.
Tell us a little bit about one of your biggest bets, which is Air India. And we know that, the government itself was quite happy to have it handed over finally to the Tatas, because many earlier failed attempts, later they finally managed to give it to the Tatas. How did that thought come about, and what were the challenges you faced along the way? And then I'll ask you about the way forward for that.
Challenges in what? Doing what?
In terms of the acquisition itself.
See, the acquisition is basically there were a few prerequisites from our point of view. So once the bid process started, once we knew that government is going to divest 100%, and then the government was going to restructure the balance sheet, then we felt comfortable, because we knew there will be challenges, and there are lots of challenges, because we have to fix a lot of things. But the good thing is 1 billion people want Air India to succeed. Everyone in this country is rooting for Air India. You can't have a better tailwind than that. Okay? There is a mail every day. Why one mail? There are multiple mails every day. There's somebody wanting to work for Air India, somebody giving me advice, somebody telling me that I had a great flight. I know the flight was bad, but I can see the improvement in on-time arrival and customer service. And also people taking WhatsApp messages, how bad the interior is, how the seat didn't work, how something was dirty. So I get about 4 or 5 mails on Air India, mails every day, some in WhatsApp, some in email.
And you act on them.
Yeah, act on them, and so I'll respond, and where we can act, we'll act. Otherwise, we'll tell them to be patient, give us time. But the transformation is happening on HR. We are completely revamping the technology. We put the best team, and we are revamping engineering, ground handling. Entire fleet will get changed. We have made one of the biggest
Yes,
orders.
yes.
It's a very, very bold bet.
Hmm.
And while the flights are coming, we are already leasing more aircrafts.
Hmm.
So we want to actually, we can fly pretty much to any destination in the world. That's the kind of infrastructure we're putting in place. We need to still work with. Our aim is to give a product which every Indian is proud of, give a service which I don't want as a second one, which is better than anything else that exists. But we need time, because it's very hard to repair an aircraft. It's very hard to get a slot in an MRO is very hard, and we don't have aircrafts.
Yes.
If you send an aircraft to a city and it gets grounded, we don't have a spare aircraft. So we've reduced the number of flights we were flying before we took over to now.
And the traffic is humongous now.
Traffic is humongous, and we get requests. Why can't you fly to Atlanta? Why can't you fly to Detroit? Why can't you fly to Seattle? I think we can fly from multiple cities. If you connect Bangalore to West Coast, multiple cities in West Coast. I even say, why San Francisco? You can even fly to San Jose. Flight will go full. There is so much demand. And you can fly from Bangalore to Seattle, Hyderabad to Seattle, Delhi to Seattle. And similarly, every European city. There is so much demand. But we just don't have infrastructure. And we need also the airports. We need the lounges.
The aviation minister will be with us.
Yes,
this evening.
I know. Jyotir knows. Jyotir knows. So we are working with everybody, but it's going to take time. It's going to take time. We are accelerating. I hope that we can start to show the semblance of the new Air India.
You said it would be pretty much a broad new look would be ready by the end of the year. That's
but still we need the scale.
Yeah.
So.
Now, the other point, Chandra, is that in the acquisition of some of these digital assets which you did, 1MG, CureFit, etc., you have acquired these companies with entrepreneurs who have actually built them. And Tata is a very storied group which is got a huge legacy.
Come on.
No, I'm just trying to tell you that how have you managed to get them on board and make them a part of the Tata group? I mean, everybody loves the Tata group, yes,
I think
but these are different people.
I think they are fine talent. I mean, you take a Hari Menon or a Vipul in Big Basket, they are the best, one of the best leaders you can find ever, anywhere. So we are fine. We're fine to work with them. We've integrated them in the company, and they see they have the freedom to run the operation, but at the same time they see the larger picture. So it's fine. Similarly, Prashant does a great job in 1MG, and that's fine. So
and they are now totally integrated with the whole Tata culture and the people and everything. That's what it's a question of the culture integration also. When you have acquisitions of this sort, which are
not difficult.
Now, what would be the 2 or 3 key areas, Chandra, which you will want to focus on in your next second in this new term? I mean, of course, carrying forward what you've already built.
I think we just have to deliver what we are committed to. That's all.
So in these 4-5
we have
areas.
to deliver Air India. We got to deliver transition to electric mobility. We made a bet, and we have done incredibly well. We won 80% of the market in a very short span of time. And
Tata Motors,
Tata Motors electric vehicles. We have got 10 launches planned. So we can't fall behind in the launches. Every product has to be good, quality has to be good, customer experience good. So as we launch new, we are still launching the cars with the technologies we have. But the cars that will come in 25, we are completely remapping the technology. There is no reason for Indian cars to have lesser technology than the very best in the world.
You in fact had told us a very interesting story about the number of cars you used to see on your...
I used to drive from here to Lonavala, and my wife used to sit next to me and count the cars. There will be no Tata cars. She will say, do something. I can't see any Tata cars. And now you see every other car is a Tata car. We can see them on the road.
And that's been a dramatic transformation.
It's very good actually. Feels very good, and all these people will say the same thing. So... and
that...
see, I mean, managers work hard, teams work hard. They need success, then it creates more energy, and it leads to more innovation, more aspiration. That's what is happening.
What are the
It is
key
not that,
areas of innovation you think you have done in this this period?
See, it's not me actually.
I
Every
mean, not
company
you,
is
under
innovating.
your
And for
leadership.
example, you take Tata Steel. Tata Steel is doing a lot of materials research. So they know the next best thing is just not sticking to producing more flat products and more long products. So we are looking at innovation not only in terms of steel and also the steel making. We are trying to see whether we can cut down one or two steps in the whole steel making process. And also we're looking at new materials, composites. So material is going to be a big thing. So in fact, we have to really invest more in materials research. So we are going to set up something on that. Similarly, in electric vehicles, while we'll start with lithium-ion batteries, we are working with a lot of startups now, because we don't know when it will get disrupted. There will be sodium, there will be aluminum. There are people working on solid state. So one is we have got to innovate. The second thing is our adaptation and agility should be faster. We can't say we'll take 4 years, 3 years. It doesn't work. So how can we do things faster? Even if you want to fail, you try and fail. So we have set up a huge R&D in Tata Consumer now. They didn't have a product pipeline at all because they were primarily a tea company.
Yes.
Now, yesterday we had a board meeting. Sunil told me that, now we have choices. I don't have to launch every product that we are researching. And we will show you, and then some products we can discard because we have created a huge pipeline.
And it's truly an FMCG company now.
Company, and we're getting into proteins in a big way, wellness in a big way, and a lot of business model changes in Indian hotels. Indian hotels was primarily focused on hard hotels. Now the whole Ama, Cumin is scaling big time, and we have created one asset heavy model, one asset light model. So we're going for scale. Ginger we should have 1,000 hotels, Ginger alone.
Yes,
that's the opportunity in India. So we have just put the focus in India. Let's get every Indian city, if you're flying, see if you want to fly to every Indian city, we should also have a hotel.
Absolutely. So
And,
clearly a big bet
so
on India.
We are working together. We are working together. For example, Tata Power puts the charging stations based on the requirement of Tata Motors. And hotels and airline are talking. So it's a lot of things to do.
And like you said, synergy as well.
Lots to do, and but each business has to take the call, and everybody has to see the return. So
one dramatic thing which has happened in your tenure so far, Chandra, has been while TCS continues to grow, the share of profit overall has gone down because of the others coming into the picture. So
that's a good thing.
Yes.
While TCS has to continue to deliver and will continue to deliver, but we definitely want to have a portfolio where the profit pool is very broad based, and it's happening. It's happening.
And as a former TCS person and also the chairman now of Tata Group, how do you see the ITES sector playing out now? I mean, in terms of all the headwinds which we see building up.
See, there is a fundamental truth that there is going to be more technology in everything. And it's only accelerating. So leave 1 month here, 1 quarter here. I think the demand for technology is going to be very, very, very strong. It depends on how agile each company is to move to the next big thing. And that will be done, will happen. But I don't see a demand problem. But definitely there has to be investments, there has to be learning, there has to be business model changes, because there's going to be more technology. And what we did 20 years ago is not what we are doing today. And what we are doing today, some of them will get automated. So where do you go from here? And how do you work in that world? So that's a change that companies have to go through.
And that also presents a big opportunity for companies like TCS.
Yes.
One thing I hear you say often, Chandra, is fall forward. That's a favorite phrase of yours. Do not be afraid to fall forward. Could you elaborate on that and how you sort of
See, I
energize the
think,
team?
it's such a dynamic world, so many things changing. If you are just so much risk averse, then you just have to sit. If you don't sit, there is no accident. If you only sit, there is no accident. But you got to try things. You can't, in a complex world, you can't have complete clarity on everything. So you need to be directionally correct, and then you have to move. Then you fall, then you get up and move. And that's the only way to navigate. Otherwise, you are not trying anything. Everywhere you are looking for the lost decimal point in a spreadsheet. Doesn't work.
Any instances where any of your companies have fallen forward and you've sort of helped it get up and
Every company. I mean, the bet on EV. I mean, they're not used to, I don't want to tell numbers, they're not used to being said that, okay, you ask X, no, we'll give you 5X. What can you do?
That's right.
Okay. So, we just tried. And it clicked. If it didn't click, it didn't click. Then we had to move on. But similarly, I feel, while we are talking about solar, wind, and hydrogen, I think India has to get into SMR, small modular reactors. And we have to try, because our energy sources are not going to be enough. And there is no certainty on every technology that we are looking today will deliver what we expect it will deliver.
True.
I don't want to be very specific. So we need to be betting on these technologies. So,
and in some of those bets may fail.
I'm telling you, definitely at least we will need another 5, 6 new energy. See, the fundamental problem for the world is cost of power. For everything else can be solved.
True.
Why is the cost of hydrogen very high? Because the cost of power is very high. Cost of green power is very high. So unless or otherwise we solve that problem, we are not going to be able to, not India, globally, we are not going to be able to solve all the problems. So we need to try. We definitely need to try. Whether it is AI, whether it is energy, whether it is materials, we need to be working on many things, and we need to be launching pilots.
One of the things you also said, and we've laughed about it earlier, is tension nahi lene ka, gyan nahi dene ka. This has become a big buzzword and a Chandra quotable quote. Explain to us, because this was in response to a question asked by none other than actor Ranveer Singh at a function where he wanted advice on why Indian Bollywood movies were failing and the South Indian movies were doing so well. So he said, "What do I do?" And Chandra responded saying, "Tension nahi lene ka, gyan nahi dene ka. I don't know much about movies, but this is what I follow." So what is simplify this for us.
Nothing to elaborate. See, the world is very complex. Just because you are doing well somewhere, it doesn't mean that you are good at everything. So it is better to stay where you are good at, and where you don't know, it's better not to speak. So what do I know about movies to give advice to Bollywood stars? So,
but this is as broad an advice as it can get, and you can use it in multiple.
I really think so. I think life is complex. Life is beautiful, and there are so many things to do. And you shouldn't be wasting time because you are very tensed. If you are tensed, nothing comes out of being tensed. You don't think clearly, you just spoil your health and you waste your time. So I fundamentally don't believe that anything that happens is worth taking tension. So I don't know, naturally I don't get tensed. I'm quite easy with myself, and that's who I am.
And what are the learnings from your marathon which you use in your business life?
Many things. I think my colleagues will tell you that I refer to marathon examples all the time. I think it teaches you a lot of things. One is I have become at least a better listener, more patient, able to take long-term calls, able to think um of goals which you don't see. We call it aspiration or whatever. And then the importance of training. So I think there's a famous marathon quote, I would say, uh, don't think about winning, or don't think about winning the race. Think about training to prepare to win the race. So the most important thing is not um, the outcome. It is the process and the journey that you go through in preparing towards the desired outcome. You may get the outcome, you may not get the outcome. If you don't get it this time, next time you'll get it. But that journey is beautiful. So we shouldn't lose it. So marathon has continues to influence me a lot. Continues to influence me a lot every day.
And since you started off your career, Chandra, and now, what are the key changes you see for a CEO when it was, a CEO at that time and a CEO now? What are the 4 or 5 key changes you see before you in the Indian context and generally?
I think CEO job is difficult. Let's be, whether it's a small company or a big company, CEO's job is difficult because the buck stops there. And they get a lot of advice. But they still have to take the call. So it is a difficult job to start with, but the only way to be successful is surround yourself with people, have a good team, and have openness in your mind to be able to debate, to be able to empower people. Those are things that are very, very important. Otherwise, I think there's no, I don't want to particularly say, there are so many things you can say, like today the technology is moving fast, the geopolitics is a much more complex world. I think the world has been complex always. So I don't agree that today it's more complex. Was World War II not complex? World War I not complex? 1850s, so many countries are fighting. So world has always been complex. It's just not that, but it's a connected world now. Now the cycle time is very short. Before you convey a decision, Twitter goes bang, bang, bang. So there are different points in time. There are different challenges, but different advantages.
How do you react to criticism, Chandra? Because you get a lot of advice. You said a lot of it is critical.
I think it's okay. Now I take it. Either it's okay. It's like a filter. Yeah. You have to listen to everything, and you know what is good you take, what is not good. You don't have to respond. So I don't think we need to have the urge to respond to everything. So it's
I remember you told us that you had, when you did the merger with Tata Global Beverages and Tata Consumer Products, then somebody wrote to you.
Yeah, somebody wrote to me. What are you doing? Come on, you shouldn't be doing this. It's a big mistake.
And the same person wrote back to you.
Same person wrote back to me a beautiful letter. Very nice of him. Very, very gracious of him. Wrote me a beautiful letter, or a first time letter, this time message, that how it has worked out so wonderfully.
And that's been one of the key transformative changes you have undertaken, whether it's at Tata.
See, you have to listen to all the views, but finally you have to take the call. See, when you have conflicting views, you have to take a call. And there, data matters, hunch matters. For me, hunch matters. I won't go, I will think 100 times before going against data, but for me, hunch matters.
So you do have, depend on that.
I will.
That sixth sense, that hunch.
Yes. In addition to data.
Data, of course, but so you get a feeling whether.
Otherwise, you can't take big decisions.
Was that also?
People will tell you, why are you putting into airlines?
They would have, exactly.
So many people will say, why are you getting into airlines? But I really think that it is there is a strong business case, and there is a strong heritage for the group, and also there is an India thing. India deserves Air India to be a world-class airline.
And it couldn't. It's the perfect timing as well because of
Timing is
the.
there, market is there, and why should people from here go somewhere else and sit in the lounge for 6 hours? There's no reason, and there is demand. So there are execution challenges, but we just have to move. We just have to make it happen.
I mean, you've also, one of the key elements of your tenure, Chandra, has been acquisitions as well, big and small. Biggest one, of course, one of the biggest, Air India, and there will be others as well. Would this be one of the guiding things in your thing, or it would be as is, a mix of both organic and inorganic?
So it will be both actually. I mean, Tata Steel has done
That's
3, 4 acquisitions. We did Bhushan,
big
we did
ones, yeah.
Nilanchal, we did Usha Martin, we did quite a few, and we have done it in consumer companies, we have done it in the digital companies. So I think we will do what is right. Where it is organic, we'll go organic. Where there is an opportunity for inorganic, we will definitely lap it up. Even in our manufacturing semiconductor journey, we are looking at a few acquisitions. It'll be a few acquisitions that will be done. It's required.
And overall investment pipeline is massive as well.
Yeah.
I mean, your investment plan, much of it will also go in the fab project?
Across projects.
Across
Across
projects.
projects.
And overall global, what would be the sort of global, and you said that India is now
Predominantly India. I would
predominantly
say our investment for the next 5 years, 70% will be India.
70% of the next 5 years investments will be in
Our
India.
capital investments is 65 to 70% India.
And this would be,
30%
the total
abroad.
amount is about 150 billion.
No, 90 billion.
90 billion, yeah, 90 billion. Out of that, 70% will be in
Yeah,
India over the
around
next 5
70
years.
billion will be India.
That's a significant amount. And do you then, therefore, obviously you are seeing green shoots of investments coming, despite, in terms of whatever is being said, that there is not enough investments happening despite the government's push towards capital expenditure. You subscribe to the view that there are green shoots of investments?
See,
Do you
because
see
all
that?
this is happening also, India, for example, take renewable energy. I hope I'm not wrong. India is probably the only country where the entire renewable energy needs will go to growth.
Hmm.
So because the most of the energy we have is probably not even 1/3 of what we need by 2050
Hmm.
or 2047.
Hmm.
If you look at it, most of the energy that is required is all to be built. Every other place, the old energy has to be replaced with renewable energy. So it's
Correct.
it's a problematic. For us, all the energy we do will all go towards growth. So there is so much growth opportunity. But we just have to every time worry about the business case, worry about the returns, because these are big projects and you put $2 billion and take an impairment of 1 billion, you lose your right to make the next investment.
Hmm.
Right? Everybody will pounce on you.
Hmm.
So
So returns,
while there is a lot of
Hmm.
opportunity, but we just need to be very, very clear about
The
returns.
Hmm.
And if we can't produce returns, we can't invest. So we have to calibrate. Every project, we have to go through the lens carefully,
Big or small?
big or small.
Hmm.
In fact, I feel it's better to do bigger projects than small projects. I get worried when somebody asks for
You
smaller projects.
So why not bigger, and why not make a case for
I think
leadership?
bigger projects gets better diligence, better attention. You do too many small projects, then none of them scale up. Then you kind of keep closing down one by one later.
One point which a lot of CEOs seem to be discussing now is the burden of regulation, burden of compliances. As the CEO of one of the largest group in India across multiple businesses, do you see that as a
It will
thing which
get
can
worse.
push India?
There is no escaping from that.
Hmm.
Nature of business.
No, I'm talking about compliance. Regulation is all right. But
Compliance, because the world is becoming complex. There are more regulators paying attention. And every time there is a failure somewhere, then new regulations crop up. And so that's the one thing I worry about AI actually. To me, the regulatory, I don't know what you feel, Nandan, the regulatory uniformity across markets will be very, very important. Otherwise, you can't be complying to multiple countries in different ways. So
Is there a sector, Chandra, you feel you should have gone, but now that there's so much else to do,
No,
you
no.
can wait? You are in every sector, which is.
We are in lots of sectors actually, so we're not looking
Is
for.
there
Yeah.
is there another further sort of scaling down in some areas, you
No,
think?
I think it will be more getting fitter in each company, getting more sharper in each company. I don't think that we are trying to divest businesses. But in each business, we are going to be much sharper. What we will do and what we will not do. We will getting sharper and sharper and sharper. Each company has to be with core and not too many adjacencies.
And leadership.
Leadership. So our will be getting sharper, not closing down.
Also, since you deal a lot with startups and you've acquired a few of the very interesting ones earlier under Tata Digital, there is a question of talking about, one, of course, is the funding winter, which is being talked about and people are, discussing and debating that. The other point is about governance. And I've been speaking to several large VCs where they do believe that there is a governance problem in some of the important startups, and we've read about them, we've talked about them. What would you say to startups and entrepreneurs in terms of what are the key governance elements they should look at? Do you see that as a key concern for startups?
People will hate me, but people have to worry about cash flows. They have to build a business models where they can show cash flows. Everything else will come automatically.
So cash flows governs everything
Someday,
else.
yeah, someday they'll have to see the sight. You can't build business models where you don't have a line of sight. I'm not saying that day one you do it like that. Maybe 5 years, maybe 8 years. But we can't see business plans where there is only GMV.
GMV, only GMV based.
Doesn't work.
You think some of these guys went to the market a little early?
No, I think you can never time the market. See, I think we should never say that this was a mistake, that was a mistake. I mean, I tell you, if you are doing business, you should make mistakes. It's absolutely fine to make mistakes. I mean, if you don't make mistakes, then you don't make decisions. And we should also be humble enough to say that we will make mistakes. And every bet that even I make, I can't be sure it will work. Some will not work. But you should have the courage to make course corrections and work through it and make it successful. Every dream can be filled as long as we have the courage to pursue.
What is it now, Chandra, having achieved a lot of it, that keeps you sort of, what would I say, awake at night in terms of I must do this, otherwise my entire game plan will not.
I don't get worked up, boss. I don't get worked up. I don't get worked up, but I think there's a lot to do, and I keep definitely. I wouldn't say worry. I keep thinking about the things to do. Some places we can move faster. We are not moving faster. I know.
For instance,
it vary from situation to situation, so I don't want to give company examples. Some places we can be more sharper. So I do know that across companies, but then that's the nature of business. Sometimes it's because we don't have the right team. Sometimes it's because people are preoccupied with something else. So those things will happen. So at the end of the day, those kind of things will always be there. But there is nothing to say. Every company, as I said, is quite strong financially, has a growth agenda, and producing excellent results. I think they all have the next few years worked out. So it's a pleasure to see each of them doing what they are doing. And so I can only play a supportive role, be a sounding board, and challenge them in the right way, support them when they need. So it's fun.
You talked about stepping into the shoes of some of the really legendary predecessors before you. How often do you sort of exchange notes with Mr. Tata, and what does he tell you? He must be very happy with your performance.
So that you should ask him. So I think he's a very fine person, extremely graceful and gracious. So I don't have a cadence, but I do meet him. Sometimes I reach out, sometimes he reaches out, and we exchange notes, but um, not anything formal. I think he's been a phenomenal source of strength, and he'll only talk encouragingly. If I so when I went to him with Air India, he said, "Let's do it." So not too many questions about have you thought through how much money you'll spend. No, I think so. He's been very supportive.
That was anyway something which...
He's very supportive
Yes.
generally. Yeah.
Yeah. What would your advice be, Chandra? We are talking to CEOs. This is an audience full of CEOs, entrepreneurs across the country are listening to you. What would be your 2 or 3 key pieces of advice to CEOs and entrepreneurs in these times?
So I don't have any advice. I'll only say that there are tremendous opportunities. I think whether you're talking Indian business or global business, because whether it is in AI world or energy transition world or the supply chain world, all these are opportunities across sectors, and also innovation, even materials, food, the intersection between technology and biology. I mean, you can take any vector. The opportunity is just tremendous. So I would only say that people should continue to be bold, but they have to have discipline. They have to have discipline, and it does take to build a good business, take time to build a good business.
They need patience also.
You need patience, and I call it inspiration with rigor. Just inspiration doesn't do it. Just talking about rigor all the time doesn't do it. You need the combination. You need the aspiration, inspiration, but you need the rigor in discipline. And then they've got to look at all these opportunities, whether it is all the areas I talked about. What can I say?
And of course, cash flows, as you said,
Come,
and returns.
part of discipline is everything. I'm not. So I don't want to say only the cash flows, but I just say that it depends on the business. What is the value proposition? So you need to crack the value proposition. If you don't have a good customer value proposition, what is the problem you're trying to solve?
Yes.
And why should the customer buy from you? You have to be sharp in customer value proposition. You have to be sharp in customer experience. And when you don't achieve that, you've got to work on it. It takes time. Perfection doesn't happen overnight. And these areas in which, so you can have some sloppiness somewhere in the back end, but not in the front end. You can have kludge solutions sometimes in the back end, but not in the front end. Front end has to be, the experience has to be what the customer deserves. So it's not about cash flow. Cash flows will come, but
the customer experience and the customer satisfaction.
Satisfaction, the product. What is it that you're offering? Yeah.
Priceless pieces of advice from the man himself, and Chandrasekaran, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very big hand. A fabulous session indeed.